The diameter of the observable universe spans a total of 93 billion light-years across. Within this daunting expanse of starlight and wonder sits the Milky Way galaxy, merely a pinprick of light in comparison. And even smaller still is a humble blue sphere, called Earth, our home. My name is Daniel Danielson, and this is Space Stuff. Wait, Neil, space stuff? Oh, f*** all. Oh, good Lord, are we still going?
No.
Why on earth is there more? We've been at this for hours. Do you mean it's only been 20 minutes? Right. One take. The formation of a solar system, including ours, begins with an astral body known as a molecular cloud, a gaseous mass floating through space, which is dense enough to form hydrogen and other molecules, and eventually even stars. Molecular clouds have a lifespan of less than 10 million years, and ours likely created between 1 and 10,000 stars. As they age, molecules clump together to form regions of higher and higher density, until conditions are sufficient to cause a gravitational collapse. For us, this collapse occurred 4.6 billion years ago. From this collapse, a protoplanetary disk, which is the scientific term for a swirling mass of dust and debris, was formed, and from it an incalculable amount of planetoids flew and crashed into one another as millennia passed by, eventually becoming so dense that they formed their own gravitational orbits and became the planets of our solar system. "36 million miles from the Sun, Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system, barely larger than the Earth's moon. Mercury's days are 176 Earth days long, and a Mercurian year lasts only 88 Earth days, making the days more than twice the length of the year. And yet none of that seems nearly as long as this recording session." Oh, shut up. Cratered and scarred, Mercury is the only planet in the solar system that never has a working atmosphere, meaning much like the Moon, there's no protection from the outside forces of the universe. The planet's gravity, only 38% of Earth's, is too low to even hold on to what little atmosphere it has. Mercury's surface temperature can range between 800 and negative 290 degrees Fahrenheit, making it the second hottest planet in the system and the second most inhospitable and unpleasant object next to my ex-wife, Helen. And yes, I've just referred to my ex-wife as an object. It seems cruel, perhaps, but you've never met Helen. I always talk about my family when I drink. What's your point, Neil? Your family is so great, you think it's better than mine, you'll think you're better than me. You're a prat and I'm a famous actor. Mercury is also tidally locked with the Sun, which has been slowing the planet's rotation. It has the highest orbital eccentricity in the system, and because Mercury is shaped more like an egg than the other planets, the morning sun seems to rise, set, and rise again, with the opposite happening at sunset. Venus is something of a contrarian when compared to its astral neighbors. It spins the opposite direction than most planets do. The sun rises in the west and sets in the east, and one backwards day on Venus lasts 243 forward days on Earth. 67 million miles from the sun, Venus is our solar system's brightest planet, due to a dense cloud cover enveloping the planet that reflects 70% of the sun's rays. Venus passes as close as 25 million miles from the Earth and was long seen as Earth's sister planet, for years armed solely with the knowledge that it was nearby and around the same size. Astronomers speculated that the Venusian landscape was one much like our own. When probes could finally be sent to Venus, a deadly, inhospitable world was found, with thick atmosphere composed largely of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and sulfuric acid. Deadly and inhospitable and full of horrible gas. Sounds a lot like my second ex-wife, Linda. All of which creates so much pressure that standing on Venus's surface would be like walking on the ocean floor, 3,000 feet below the surface. That's a bit of an odd statement, isn't it, Neil?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's not like you could do either one of those things. A more accurate statement might be, standing on Venus's surface is a bit like walking on the ocean floor, in that neither of those things is bloody possible. You have something you want to say, Neil? Say it to my face. Unimaginative? Why, Neil, that's just hurt. Oh, damn it. Let's see. Giant volcanoes, rivers of lava. It's hot. Venus is a very warm place. Moving on. Which leads us to the source of all my life's woes, the planet Earth. Home to millions of species of plants and animals, Earth is the only planet in the solar system with a breathable atmosphere. And despite the wishful thinking of many a doe-eyed youth and unhygienic adult alike, the only planet in the universe that we know sustains life. In its early years, the first 400 million or so, Earth looked much like our sister planet Venus does now, a hellish landscape of magma rivers and supervolcanoes. During this period, which scientists now refer to as the... I don't know how to pronounce this. Yes, I know, no time. Hadion? Just write it on the screen. A planetoid called... Thea? A planetoid called Thea, write that one on the screen too, impacted with the gooey newborn planet, throwing a chunk of rock into orbit that later became our moon. Gooey newborn? No, Neil, it's horrible. You're asking me to invoke the awe and brilliance of the very heavens while reminding the audience about this screaming infant they left at home to go to the theatre. What's wrong with you? Besides, what kind of a person tries to describe an infant and the first word they arrive at is gooey? It's disgusting. Well, I don't know. I'm not a writer. Wait. Did you write this? Oh. That explains a lot. Well, you shouldn't write things like gooey newborn. No, it's bothersome. There's no need to shout. The intense heat and pressure of the Earth's primordial atmosphere caused the metal-rich landscape to separate itself into layers, with the denser metals settling near the core and the lighter metals settling near the crust. The Earth's core itself is made of iron and burns at an estimated temperature of 10,800 degrees Fahrenheit. The Earth eventually cooled to a point where water could remain on the surface without turning to gas, and then, somewhere between 3.2 and 2.4 billion years ago, for reasons still hotly debated today, prokaryotes, the first life forms in existence, came into being throughout Earth's oceans, laying the foundation for everything. But that, dear viewer, is another tale. Despite being half its size, Mars is more like Earth than any other planet. Its days are 24.6 hours as opposed to our 23.9, and its axial tilt is 25 degrees compared to our 23.4, giving Mars 4 distinct seasons like we have. However, due to its unique egg-shaped orbit, Mars's spring and summer are significantly longer than its autumn and winter. Mars also has 2 moons, but unlike our spherical satellite, Mars is orbited by a pair of misshapen rocks. Seems judgmental. Mars is orbited by a pair of misshapen rocks called Phobos. Yeah, this again. A pair of misshapen rocks called Phobos and Deimos? Deimos? Just write that one on the screen as well. Named so for the Roman war god's sons. Phobos, the larger of the 2 moons, is an incredibly fascinating subject. Phobos orbits Mars at a height of only 5,900 miles above the planet's surface, closer than any other moon in the solar system. Due to its proximity, Phobos orbits the planet at a much faster rate than Mars rotates. So if one were to stand on the surface, If one were to stand on the surface, then they could watch Phobos rise and set in the Martian sky twice in one day. After they suffocate and freeze to death, Neil. There's no air or heat. Phobos is also steadily growing closer to Mars. Scientists believe that eventually, possibly within the next 10 million years, that this oddly shaped rock will either crash into the surface of Mars itself, or simply break up in the planet's atmosphere and form a faint ring, much like Saturn's. What scientists find the most fascinating about our cosmological next-door neighbor is that Mars once contained water in its liquid state, the only other planet in our solar system known to have done so. Presently, water on Mars exists only as ice, and occasionally as salty meltwater. But surveys performed by a number of satellites and rovers have revealed dry lakes, rivers, and ocean beds that once dominated the red planet's surface. Mars's bygone biosphere, combined with its relative proximity to the Earth, only 33.9 million miles away at its closest, make it a prime candidate for human colonization. What do you suppose the big plan is there, Neil? We've gone and cocked up this planet beyond repair, so we'll go over to one half the size and cock it up twice as fast? Done with all the troubles of this world war and pollution and my ex-wife Helen and my ex-wife Linda? You know, I don't need to stand for the pollution or the violence. I don't need to stand for Helen or Linda. I'll have you know I once slept with Martha Redgrave. No, Martha Redgrave. She's Vanessa and Lynn's younger sister. The hot Redgrave. Don't act like you're not impressed, Neil. Oh well, I guess this blue planet's no good anymore. Let's try the red one, and maybe a green one after that. Who bloody cares, right? Let's just keep pumping pollution and babies and ex-wives out into the world until it collapses. Let some future generation deal with it. No, Neil, you're right, of course. I'm being far too cynical. I'm sure that things won't be quite that bad. I mean, sure. Things look a bit bleak at the moment. Global temperatures rising, civil unrest, dictators around every corner. But surely one day the children of our world will take up the banner of Mother Earth and proudly stand in her defense. Moral pollution and ecological corruption will be a long distant memory, and brighter days will lie on the horizon. Right? Right?